Greetings students, in this session of the electrician trade, you will be taught how to regulate the speed of a DC motor with the use of thyristors or a DC drive.
Objectives. You will be able to use it at the end of this exercise. Read and interpret details of the DC drive nameplates. To operate the load, connect the input and output terminals of the DC drive to the motor. Use a DC drive to control the speed of the engine and operate it with a 1/4, half and 3/4 load. Use the DC drive to reverse the DOR, direction of rotation, and operate the motor at different speeds. Let us take a look at the tools and instruments required to perform DC speed control with thyristors or drives. Tools: insulated combination pliers 150 mm, 1. Screwdriver 200 mm, 1. Connector screwdriver 100 mm, 1. Electrician's knife 100 mm, 1. Round nose plier 150 mm, 1. MC voltmeters 0 to 250 volt, 1. Equipment: DC motor 3 HP 220 volt coupled with DC generator 2 kW 220 volt, 1. It's a motor generator set. DC drive 3 HP 220 volt, 1. Materials: PVC, polyvinyl chloride, insulated stranded copper cable 1.5 square millimeter 660 volt 15 meter. PVC insulated flexible cable 14 by 0.2 mm 3 meter. Insulation tape 1. Let us take a look at the preparations for DC motor speed control using thyristors and DC drive. Before starting our exercise, it is advised to do the following elementary things. First of all, you will need to learn the basics of DC motors, their construction and operating characteristics. Understand how to use power electronics, which includes concepts such as rectification, filtering, and voltage regulation. Gain knowledge about thyristor-based or DC drive-based speed control methods. Understand the working principles, circuitry, and control techniques involved in these systems. Get information on the DC motor you are working with, such as its voltage rating, current level, power ratings, and speed, torque characteristics. In order to use your application, you will need an appropriate thyristor or DC drive. Consider the factors that can be considered. Example: voltage and frequency rating, power handling capacity or switching characteristics. Familiarize yourself with troubleshooting techniques for thyristor-based or DC drive system. When handling electrical circuits and high-power equipment, you should be cautious and adhere to safety protocols. You will use the thyristors or DC drive to begin our attempt at speed control of a DC motor. Our first task is: read and interpret the nameplate details of DC drive. Note down the nameplate details of the given DC motor in Table 1. Note down the nameplate details of the given DC drive in Table 2. Our second task is to connect the input-output terminals of the DC drive to the DC motor to operate the load. Check and identify the terminals of the DC motor and DC drive. Remove the drive cover. Identify and trace the internal connection. Select the ICTP switch or MCB cables and fuse wire according to the rating of the motor. Draw the circuit diagram and connect the ICTP, MCB, drive and the motor as shown. Connect with main switch or MCB 4 numbers of 500 watt clear lamps fitted in an enclosure having individual on-off facility. Connect double earth independently for the main switch, DC drive and the motor. Check the supply and ensure proper rating of the fuse's main switch according to the motor rating. Our next task is to control the speed by setting the parameter of different load and speed. Select the suitable type of model DC drive with code. Connect miniature circuit breaker MCB DC drive, MG set and lamp rod. Switch on power supply. Press the on button and measure the speed of the motor by using the tachometer before loading and record the readings in table 4. Load the motor by 1/4 load by switching on one lamp. Record the current, voltage, frequency and voltage in the load terminal. Vary the speed, observe the readings and record them in table 4. Load the motor further and switch on another lamp. Total load now 500 watt plus 500 watt, which equals 1000 watt. Record all the readings in table 4. Load further to 3/4 load, 500 plus 500 plus 500, which equals 1500 watt, and record the reading in table 4. If the motor maintains the rated frequency after loading 3/4 load, record all readings. Press the off switch once it is over and check the readings you recorded. Remove all the connection and supply cables from the motor and supply. Record your observations. Task 4. Reverse the direction of rotation by using DC drive. Connect the AC supply to the input and output terminals of DC drive when the output terminals are connected to the armature and field of the motor without connecting load. Switch on power supply main switch. Press the on key and note the direction of running. Press the reversing key and check the changing of direction of rotation of the DC motor. Operating the reverse key and the motor reverse rotation direction. Remember to wait until the motor will obtain stability and then change the DOR. Press the off key to stop the drive. Turn off the main power supply of the DC drive and disconnect the DC drive.
Recap. Let us just recap what you have learned so far. Read and interpret details of the DC drive nameplates to operate the load, connect the inputs and output terminals of the DC drive to the motor. Use DC drive to control the speed of the engine and operate it with a 1/4 the load, half the load, 3/4 the load, full load. Use the DC drive to reverse the direction of rotation and operate the motor at different speeds. I hope you all understand how to regulate the speed of a DC motor using thyristors or a DC drive. Let us meet again in the next session. Thank you students and bye.